Thanks for clicking on this video. Now, before we get into it, let me ask you guys a question. Would you guys ever consider using a streaming service for your games? Kind of like a Netflix where you don't actually own a console or the game and you just stream to some arbitrary piece of hardware? This is a topic that seems to be pretty hot at the moment, and I would just like to gauge some interest for some future videos I'm working on. Anyways, let's get on to the video. Hey everyone, my name's HarryAtomic and it's Wednesday, so you know what that means. It's Community Day video day. Solid name, solid intro there, Harry. So this week's community video suggestion comes from Martin Medrano. I hope I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, we'll just blame it on the accent. Martin asks, will you make a video on Project Scarlett? Yeah, of course. Project Scarlett is currently one of the biggest things that Xbox fans are talking about at the moment, and we're all just kind of salivating trying to get more details. Now, at the time of recording this video, really the only information that we've got is some small post-E3 interviews here and there, as well as the main actual video itself that was released by Microsoft at the end of their E3 conference. So what I'm going to be doing is just looking really closely at the things that were said in the announcement video, and then just trying to kind of pull out what that could mean for the actual console itself. Now, as always, this is completely speculative, so I would love to talk to you guys about it and hear your ideas. These are just the ideas that I came up with whenever I was listening to all the information, so I'm assuming that you guys will come up with something completely different to me. Either way, I love this type of speculation. I love like talking about stuff before it comes out and like dreaming about what it could be. I think it says a lot about what fans really want, so let's chat about it in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Anyways, first things first, I think it's best that we talk about just generally the console itself and its features before we move on to anything else. Now, at the start they mentioned that the console would be backwards compatible. At least that's what I got from it. The announcement video itself made lots of mentions to the fact that you could play your old library and that your old games won't get lost when you move to a new generation. Personally, I just think that this means that their entire back catalogue of Xbox, Xbox 360 and pretty much Xbox One games are still on the table. So I'd swing back round to the backwards compatible thing as we move through the discussion, because I think that that's going to be a big tell as to what this console could potentially be about. So as far as hardware goes, it looks like it's going to be latest and greatest. It's going to be kitted out with all the latest features that, yes, I know PC players are enjoying right now, but this is not PC, it's a whole different thing. So they've promised 120 FPS capability as well as 8K capability. Now, one thing that I'm always skeptical of whenever a new announcement is made is the word capability. It's not impossible to get something to run at a certain frame rate or a certain resolution as long as you make compromises. I think that it's worded kind of carefully in order to make us believe that we're going to get 8K resolution games at 120 FPS. Personally, I don't think that that's what's going to happen. I think that 8K is going to be just support for maybe future TVs through, I don't know, a future format for 8K Blu-rays or something maybe, but I don't think we're going to get 8K games. I don't even think we're going to get 4K games at 120 FPS. I just don't know that the console's going to be pushing those kind of numbers. I think we'll get 4K at 60 frames, or maybe some 1080p games might run at 120 frames per second, but I think that they're going to be sliding kind of scales and not everything's going to be cranked to the max. I could be wrong. I would love to be wrong. I would love to be rocking some like 120 FPS action, you know, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen for, you know, the big blockbuster 4K releases. Now, variable refresh rate is something, again, that PC players have been enjoying for a while on like semi-modern cards. Nvidia have G-Sync and AMD have FreeSync. I think I got that the right way around. I hope I did. And really what it does is it just gives a smoother experience whenever your game, you know, gets to a stage where there's lots going on. Usually where your frame rate would dip and the monitor would have to start making some crazy calculations to stay at 60 frames per second monitor side. Now the monitor will be able to match the output FPS of your actual Xbox Scarlett. I think that's what they're going to be referring to it as. Really what it means is that if your TV supports it or your monitor supports it, then so will your Xbox. If you have it in a monitor or a TV that you already own, then you probably know all about it. But it's not something that I think would be a deal breaker for me when buying a new TV or a new games console. But then that's just me. Just touching on it, they mentioned that the console's going to have SSDs. I think nowadays that is pretty much just, that needs to happen. 5400 RPM drives, no go. 7200 RPM drives, again, it's not what we need nowadays to run modern games. SSD is the way forward. If you do a quick search on YouTube, not now, I'll finish watching this video after the video. If you do a search for like fitting an SSD in your PlayStation or fitting an SSD in your Xbox One and talking about speed comparisons, the evidence will present itself to you very clearly that SSD is the way to go. Now, the whole idea that they talk about the SSD space being allowed to be used as VRAM, I don't think think that that's going to be a major issue. I don't think that that's going to be something that a lot of people are going to be taking advantage of, mainly because you can't guarantee how much free space is going to be on someone's hard drive. Like, for example, if you buy a brand new Xbox Scarlett that has like 1 terabyte on it and you only install one game that has support for VRAM, then it'll use some of the SSD space as VRAM. But if I buy an Xbox Scarlett and I just completely trash fill that thing full of games and I have like 5 megabyte free, then there's not a lot to be used as VRAM, which means me and you are going to be getting different experiences out of the same game. I don't think developers are going to want to do that. I think that the whole idea of consoles is to have like a parity of experiences like across just all players. The whole draw of consoles is the fact that you can buy it, I can buy it, we'll get the same output, give or take kind of TVs and stuff like that, but ultimately we're pretty much going to get the same thing if we own the same hardware in the same game. So anyways, I talked more than I wanted to about VRAM, but we'll move on to the last part about the actual console itself that I was interested in, and that's ray tracing. Now, ray tracing has become a pretty big buzzword at the moment. It just reminds me of the whole blast processing thing back in the like Mega Drive days. It just seems that there's always been some kind of marketing buzz term that everyone kind of latches onto and the companies really feed hard as like a super futuristic term. In a nutshell, what ray tracing is the ability to calculate how light looks more realistically. So if you think of a beam of light being shot at an object and that object is metallic, then it's going to scatter differently once it hits it than it did if it was paper or plastic. So ultimately, ray tracing will just make your games look better. It'll make lighting look more realistic. Now the thing is though, is that developers do some really cool tricks with lights to give like the appearance of different textures and things. So it's not just a case of, you know, turn on the light and it looks pretty and turn off the light and it looks like grim. Like there's a lot more room for innovation here with really good ray tracing. Now there is a way more technical discussion to be had here. If you guys want to hear more on ray tracing and the whole idea of console ray tracing versus PC ray tracing, then let me know, but it'll get kind of weird computer sciencey, so I'm not going to do it in this overview, although I don't know how much of an overview this is now. Anyways, I think I speak for most people here when I say that I think that the idea of a cloud-based gaming thing is going to be huge on Scarlett. Now there's some evidence they support that a lot of games are going to be pushed to use cloud in some way. Now in the announcement video there was a lot of emphasis placed on load times, like let's get load times down, and yeah, that could be attributed to using an SSD over a standard spinning media hard drive, but I think that there will be some cloud stuff tied into that as well. You hear people talking about logging on and your world being there and the world being more vibrant and all that other stuff. That is kind of a direct benefit of having part of your game running on like a cloud service. Now I don't think that we're going to be streaming entire games from the cloud like Stadia or anything like that. I think that what it's going to be is that certain aspects of the game are going to get their calculation results from a more powerful server and then do a lot of the graphics and sort of minor to medium calculations on the actual console hardware itself. So for example, you run into a firefight in a forest and you know, you shoot off some guns and grenades and boom, and you know the usual kind of scene. I think that the idea of you and another player like having a firefight, that'll be like your console working all that stuff out and like where the bullets are going and all this other stuff, and that I think that that's what the console's position is. I think that what's going to happen is that the cloud is going to be used to kind of like calculate what happens to the wildlife when a big bang goes off, or how the rain falls and pools on the ground and stuff. Those calculations would just be way too much to do in real time on a console while you're actually playing a game. However, I think that that type of stuff is going to be offloaded to a cloud server somewhere. Now, if it's true, the downside is that this console is going to have some kind of online requirement. Now, I know a lot of people, whenever the Xbox One was announced, said that they weren't happy at the fact that there was like an always-on DRM and like there was connection requirements for the console. Personally, I didn't think that that was such a bad thing. If you want to know why, then let me know down below. I'll make a video on the launch of the Xbox One, but I didn't think that that was such a bad idea. It's not like nowadays that we haven't got services that we use all the time that aren't, you know, needed to be connected to a central server somewhere. I think that now, though, is that they're going to focus more on the benefits of that rather than turning around and just saying you need to be connected to the internet to use this console. I think it's going to be more a case of if you're connected to the internet, then you can take advantage of these features. Xbox. And then that leads me on to another prediction that I'm going to make as well, and that's that there's going to be some kind of Netflix style series a la Google Stadia that will stream games to your Xbox Scarlett. I think that that's where backwards compatibility is going. The idea of popping like an Xbox 360 disc and like an Xbox One and the game installing and stuff, like that's a great solution for people that have hardware versions of games. However, you can't buy these games new anymore, and let's face it, the publishers don't make any money off second-hand releases. But if the games are available to stream, kind of like Netflix, where you just sit down and like hit play on a TV show and it just starts playing the whole thing, I think that that's what we're going to get with Scarlett and some kind of cloud offering, is that there will be a library of Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One that you'll be able to go in and just play and stream directly to your console. Now, I'm kind of fighting with myself as well as to whether or not I think that this is going to include Scarlett games as well, because they do talk about picking up multiple games on multiple devices and things and playing across multiple devices. That could be interpreted multiple ways, so I'm not going to make like a solid prediction about playing like, you know, Scarlett games everywhere, kind of like Stadia. But I think that the idea of cloud gaming is something that's going to be held really closely with this console. Anyways, that's my Scarlett ramble. I've kind of rambled about all the stuff that I think is going to happen with Project Scarlett. If you guys have anything to add, let me know. If you disagree with me or agree with me, or you want to just add anything in general, again, just drop me a comment down below. I'm really active in the comments. I read and reply to pretty much everything. Also, if you want to chat to other Xbox fans about Xbox news or Project Scarlett or anything else, or if you want to send me a message directly, not through a comment section, then the best place to do that is on the Xbox 360 Hub Discord. The link is in the description down below. Also, Wednesday's videos are all Community Day videos, which means that you guys choose what the next video is gonna be. So if you have any suggestions for another Community Day video, then just let me know and I'll add it to the list. I can pretty much guarantee, as I said, that I'm gonna get round to doing them all at some stage. But anyways, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.